We've been through a roller coaster. It's been four plus years now for West End Art Space, and finally we made it home. This is our home. So welcome, and please join us in the future with all the new shows that we are going to have here in the gallery, and also so that I let you know, it will be a full year program with an exhibition program that will rotate every month. Tonight, our third biennial of Color and Light 2020, which got, of course, postponed to 2021. We have the pleasure to have our guest speaker, Leah Justin, the co-founder of the Justin Art House Museum in Windsor, or Paran, which is the same. And we are so, and Charles is here too. Welcome, and I would like to put our hands together to make our guests welcome. And
thank you. And apologies that I'm going to be reading the notes, but that's what I'm going to have to do. COVID-19, 2020, an unprecedented year of tough times and dark days. A year when a visit to a gallery was inconceivable. And although we could go online, there was nothing better than seeing works in the flesh. So what a treat to enter this space this evening. And so welcome to all of you, and thanks for making the effort to come and support this event so fulsomely. I'm delighted to be launching this show tonight. At the outset, I have to say that Anna Prifti, the curator of this show of Colour and Light, is simply inspirational. She exudes optimism, resilience, passion, and I'm sure I'm not alone in applauding your generosity and vision. She could have easily said in this COVID world, it's all too hard. And it was. But truly, in the spirit of the artists represented here today, she knew she had a goal, and with sheer grit, focus and determination, she made this third abstract biennial happen. We walked in just last Friday on a typical Melbourne summer day. You know, grey, rainy, broody. And we walked into this space and I was so overwhelmed with the expression of colour and creativity that we can see in this interesting new space. This is the third abstract biennial that Anna Prifti has curated to provide a platform to women abstract artists from Victoria. This initiative started in 2016 with the aim of showcasing and advocating that women artists have been an integral part of the abstract movement. This room, filled with works of women artists working in a diverse range of contemporary practices, are emerging, established and well-recognised, and their emerging, established and well-recognised careers really demonstrates that. And this year the biennial coincides, as Anna said, with the opening of this new permanent gallery for the West End Art Space. I'm sure I speak on behalf of all of everyone here on congratulating you, Anna, on your endeavour, which has already illuminated this end of town with colour and light, and may it continue to flourish.
thank you so much.
Abstraction is difficult and challenging. As Anna said, I'm the co-founder with my husband Charles of the Justin Art House Museum, or JAHM as we call it. Our collection is largely composed of abstract and conceptual works. And even more apposite for this show, when we recently reviewed the collection, we discovered that 50% of our collection happens to be of works by women artists. Quite a few of whom we're delighted to see are exhibiting works here in this exhibition. Just by looking at the works in our collection, I would wager it would be impossible to determine which of the works in our collection is by a female or a male artist. And we are in fact planning a show in 2022, it was to be this year, which interrogates that very idea. As far as we're concerned, creativity is gender neutral. Art is not binary and it's not gender specific. It's the work that has to be compelling, not the gender of the creator. No question that historically it's been tougher for women artists to even receive training or consider it as a profession. Although I note that there have been and continue to be significant and powerful women who have often served as muses or patrons. But we know that art was not considered a serious pursuit for a respectable girl even a century or so ago. And so women just had to work harder. And I would argue that even today, in our most liberated times, women continue to face greater hurdles than their male counterparts in just balancing their working lives. And yet, women have continued, despite the odds, to produce, compelled to create, working fiercely and furiously as artists, their contribution rich and meaningful. No question that they have contributed significantly to the art world. And perhaps this is well illustrated in the abstract works being championed in this show. A wonderful celebration of works in which abstraction is expressed in so many individual and unique ways, lyrically, expressively, intuitively, with hard-edged, conceptual, reductive and minimalist works abounding. But what lies at its heart? What makes abstract art so distinctive? Indulge me as I tell you a story of my experiences of art classes in the early 1960s. Everyone's got a class they hated at school, and the one class that I hated the most was art. I was an A student, you know, the type conscientious and diligent, graded convergent thinking. I loved school, except for this particular subject. I used to plead with my mother every Wednesday, please, please, I can't go to school, I don't want to go to school. Wednesday was the day that we didn't have one period of art, we had the excruciating double period. My mother never relented, and off I had to go, dreading facing the day. What could be worse than 2 periods of art? I'm sure most of you don't even think that. After a preamble and a so-called inspirational, motivational mini-lecture, ending always with, "Today you will paint A," the dreaded moment arrived when the art teacher told us in no uncertain terms what we were painting that particular day. I recall her vividly, her favourites repetitively were either a beach scene or a bush scene. Landscapes were her thing. You might get the picture. Well, the trouble is I didn't, whilst the rest of the class did. So what after seemed like an age with my not having a clue about what I was going to do and becoming paralysed and rigid with anxiety, I began splattering my palette with so many colours. And still the blank paper awaited my brush. The trouble was my mind was blank too. I couldn't understand the good humour of all the students around me. If only I could write or talk my way out of it. But art was such a totally different skill, and I had no way of tackling it. This was torture. And each week, the outcome was the same. What started out perhaps as a beach scene or a bush scene very quickly degenerated as I laboured to produce something, anything. And each week, as I said, the outcome was simply a variation of a theme I chose to call a study in brown. Or sometimes when I was being very creative, it was a study in black. My teacher's low grading of me was inevitable, and the remark still sears. I never received a result like that. I was deserving of it, and I was devastated. But I thought with the conceit of a 14-year-old girl, perhaps I was an unrecognised abstractionist, simply because nothing ever looked like anything. But I knew that in truth that wasn't so. That in fact I just had no idea of where to start, and even worse, once I started daubing, I didn't know when to stop. But happily it didn't traumatise me too much, and I've grown up loving and appreciating art. It is so vital to my well-being. Who would have thought? So why am I mentioning this? Perhaps in answer to my earlier question, what makes abstract art so distinctive? I believe artists are the visual philosophers of our age, and they are grappling with ideas in so many different ways. Just as writers use words as their vehicles, artists are offering us, and perhaps themselves, a way of looking at the world more thoughtfully and meaningfully, questioning the status quo through their mark-making. The works here are all the outcome of the pursuit of an idea that has taken a huge amount of time and intellect, be that working on the process, refining a technique, exploring a method, developing applications of materiality, colour and form. Artists reveal our world and offer us ways of looking at the world, but we too have to make an effort. It's a partnership in many ways, a synergy of artist and viewer. In an era overloaded with sensory stimulation, abstract art can provide a vehicle for contemplation, questioning and introspection, sorely needed today. And each of the works here do invite reflection and challenge us to also consider the effort and the journey of the artist from the work's conception to its final execution. At JAHM, we have learned that this is what abstract works can do. At JAHM, in our exhibitions, we showcase abstract works from our collection. We know for many it is confronting, challenging, and sometimes disturbing, as they are often way out of their comfort zone. Visitors come to JAHM to experience the exhibition saying, "I know nothing about art," or "My kids could do that." And yet after an interrogation of the works, which invites their responses, we find they are often deeply insightful, offering observations about the works from which we also learn much. They will comment later, the works have really made me think. My grey cells have been shaken around. The works have compelled me to take time to look again. Now I realise that sometimes the less there is to see, the more we have to look. And very often we hear, I don't know if I like it, but I can now appreciate the huge amount of thinking and work that is involved. Or I could just meditate in front of that minimalist canvas of pure colour. It is nothing and it is everything. The 50 works in this exhibition reveal the myriad ways these gifted artists have shared with us their craft, and we can get a sense of their exhilaration, excitement, and sometimes I would imagine exasperation in exploring and producing. We are witness to the outcome, but the gestation has been long and hard, but oh, so worthwhile. They seek to forge new pathways and invite us along on the journey, and I applaud all of the 50 artists from the 130 applicants that Anna had to sift through, chosen to be represented in this superb show, and we are richer for your creativity. Congratulations to all of you. This evening I also have the distinct pleasure of awarding several gift vouchers that have been generously donated by Senior Art and St Luke's Art. So, the two recipients of the Senior Art vouchers are Madeline Joy Dawes for Wood Hops Tobacco. Is Madeline here? Madeline's mark making is so precise and meticulous, time-consuming and meditative, and through her fine pen work, she celebrates the imperfections and flaws inherent in the process, much like the makers of Persian rugs, providing a very humbling and human understanding of the process of creation. The second Senior Art Award is to Leah Teschendorf for her work entitled Grid 2020. I don't know if Leah's here. Leah's attention to detail is mesmeric, as is her use of that shimmering blue. The small scale of that work compels one to look ever more closely to discover the rich variations executed here and demonstrate her mastery of her material. And there is a voucher from St Luke's, which has been awarded to Jacqueline Peters for Composition in Blue 2019. Composition in Blue 2019 is quite atypical of the more hard-edged abstraction which I'm drawn to, but there is something lyrical about the work that perhaps talks to the new era we are entering, where perhaps we can hope to see the beginnings of more colour, even though much darkness lies just beneath the surface. Here with her beautiful mark-making, Jacqueline has created a new world of colour and light, cohesive and calming. Perhaps a world that could be united in its beauty and appreciation of what we have rather than what we lack, that talks to what we share and not what divides us. I suppose as we begin this year anew, the painting makes me hope that we might strive to make the world a better, more compassionate place where nature and man are in balance. Finally, every artist needs a mentor and or a patron, and here they are rolled into one. Not only has Anna curated this show, but she's generously offering a prize to two currently unrepresented artists for a solo show at West End Art Space. A remarkable opportunity to showcase their work, and one too rarely offered today when many galleries have been compelled to close their books to new artists or are just simply closing. So the first artist that has been selected is Jacqueline Stoyanovits for Grid 9. I don't know whether Jacqueline is here.
I didn't see her arrive before. Is Jacqueline here? Jacqueline Stoyanovits? She hasn't arrived yet.
Okay, so her work pays a very clever and creative homage to the Bauhaus movement, and Jacqueline has very innovatively provided an aesthetically rich meditation on the classic grid format with her woven work on a frame, and I really look forward to seeing what she will be doing. And the second solo show will be the work by Madeline Gunn. I don't know whether Mandy Gum, I beg your pardon.
Sorry.
Is Mandy
It's
here? Mandy's work, The Unconcise Oxford Dictionary, is abstract and conceptual, and for me it talks to many critical issues in our world today. Just last year I read Pip Miller's wonderful book, The Dictionary of Lost Words, which set a fictional female in the real world of the 19th century editors of the OED. The heroine salvaged the words not included by these white, privileged male editors. The discarded word slips that she saved were failed entries in the compilation of what we now know as the OED. Slips not considered worthwhile or significant. Words that were all related to females and womanly pursuits or concerns. Much of this wonderful book is steeped in reality. So was this literary conceit really a fiction at all, I wondered? It was, after all, making such a powerful statement about women and their invisibility and their centrality. Mandy has taken all the pages of the Concise Oxford English Dictionary, deconstructed and compressed them in order to reconstruct them as a weaving, which she now calls the Unconcise Oxford Dictionary, a play on words literally. It is a physically beautiful work that perhaps asks us to think of the richness of language and the need to keep on reinventing it, ensuring its inclusivity, whilst observing new permutations and forms for it to continue to grow and evolve, as we must do with all creativity and with all art. And so in conclusion, again, thanks Anna for curating this sublime exhibition, and to all the artists for their wonderfully creative and considered contributions in making this space sing. I now have much pleasure in declaring that West End Art Spaces of Colour and Light Show, the third abstract biennial celebrating Victorian women abstract artists, is now officially launched. Yay.